You read the title. Light anti-gas respirators. Now I've got a nice pile of light anti-gas respirators here. I might be on a frame, but you don't really need my face, I'm not the point of focus here. So we've got ourselves Mk.IIA lag. Mk.IIA lag. And a Mk.IIA lag. Now bear in mind these are all from 1944. Their condition is quite lovely. But can you spot which one isn't a Mk.IIA? Now see, the thing about lags is that there's so many that people don't seem to be able to keep track of all the variants. People just go lag and they just leave it at that. When in matter of fact there's like maybe 15. That's normal. I'm not including like weird industrials on top of that. So we got these. But one of them is not a Mk.IIA. Now Mk.IIA is the most common. It refers to these ones with the L2 valve holder, which is the indented one here. The L1 had a sort of island, and of course the L3 is the protrusive one that looks like a nipple, which has a voice diaphragm. On top of that, they use the, test of my memory here. Yes, L2 facepiece, I was right mentally. Which is to say they're based off the Mark V GSR, which is why they have no triangle nose. Ones with triangle noses, they use an L1 facepiece because it's a leftover piece from when it was a CDR, civilian duty respirator, with the flapper nose. So these are based off the Mark V. One of them's an imposter, and I don't just judge this one because it's misshapen. This one is also misshapen. Could it be this one because the rubber texture looks different? These two are by Leyland and Birmingham rubber. This one is by Avon. 1943, October 1943, I think it was 44. Actually, I think that's 45. Well, there's your biggest clue. It's not the filters either, because these are the later Mark III lightweight filters. This is the Mark II lightweight filter. Both of these have been exported to Denmark, hence the crown stamp. This one is not. So what's the difference? One of these is a Mark IV. It still uses the L2 valve holder, it still uses the L2 facepiece, so how can you tell? Well, for starters, it says on the chin. Don't know if you can see that there. Mark IV. That kind of helps. Whereas on this one, 2A. That's the 2 in Roman numerals, and of course the A. The other one you're going to have to look out for is the size stamp. Do you see that there? It says L. That means large. The Mk.IIA has only one size because it is based off the Mark V GSR, which also only has one size, normal, in the old long stamp that says the full word. Whereas of course later on we simplified that to one simple letter. S for small, N for normal, L for large, and of course ES and EL if you ever spot one of those. These didn't come in extra large or extra small, just the Mark VI did, and I think maybe the Mark VII. That is your main indicator. And outside of that, you've got fuck all else. Because these are near fucking identical. They use the exact same pieces, they use the same moulding, except now all of a sudden there's a large, which can be prone to fucking up. And that is all you've got to tell. Because I mean the tape changes between manufacturers and years. These two have the same. That's about it really. The main thing you're looking for is stamps and key clues like that. You've also got the fact that the manufacturing stamp isn't on the cheek side with the size. It's actually on this side. Thought someone was coming in there. And that is all you've got. So when it comes down to lags, what you really want to be looking out for is stamps and key clues like that. And these are things you've got to learn about. Because see, the only difference between the Mark IV and the Mk.IIA, you'd think, well, you already got a good one. Did you only make it because of size? No. Despite my review, which I should take down, the Mark IV was very important. It's because natural rubber masks were dwindling in supplies, and we couldn't get it because of Malaya being invaded during that point in time. So we had to make these out of a sort of less natural Buna S rubber. So this was the new rubber, which we had to scrap because it later turned out that these can go solid hard and misshape very badly. This one's actually a pretty good example. It's not completely fucked. So that is why the Mark IV exists, and I will be covering that when I redo my review, which isn't now. But there you go. That is how you can tell apart a Mk.IIA from a Mk.4. While they look pretty much the same, there is a difference, and this is significantly rarer, and these are dummy common. And also, don't be mistaken, just because it has the red dot here, that just means it's a natural blend. If I remember rightly, I might correct that in the comments. It doesn't mean anything special. It doesn't mean you've got the dermatitis rubber one, because the dermatitis rubber lags, no one's got one. We think they don't exist anymore, and they were made out of brown rubber. It's not an Australian lag either. They're made of brown, not mottled. So there you go. Those are the differences between the Mk.4 and the Mk.IIA. Because of course you've got the prototype, the Mk.1, the Mk.1A, the Mk.2, the Mk.2A, the Mk.3, the Mk.3A, the Mk.4, the Mk.5, the Mk.4 left hand, the Mk.5 left hand, the Mk.6, the Mk.6/2, the Mk.6 left hand, the Mk.6/2 left hand, the Mk.7, the Mk.7/2, the Mk.7 left hand, the Mk.7 left hand/2. The /2 comes after the 6, to make the 7. And then we get Britain abandoned this project. It went to Leyland and Birmingham Rubber Co., who continue to make them under industrial variants for farmers and agricultural, the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food, that sort of thing. But Canada kept it on, and they made things like the C1, the C2 and the C3. You've probably only ever seen the C3, the most common one, because the C1 and the C2, fucking rare. I mean, the C1 was basically just a lag that had been altered. And then of course you've got Australian variants, and Canadians follow mostly the same marks. But I'll be covering all that when I have more time. I'm in a bit of a rush, which is why I'm recording in my shop. I always forget. There it is. I'm in my shop, if I never mentioned that. So, that's your differences. The bags are completely fucking same, but of course if you've got ones that have been issued to Denmark, odds are the bag's completely random. Because they put these bags even with GM38s. They renamed as the Taisk. When they renamed these the M45, or the M45 Anglis. So, hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all learned something. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. It should also be noted that neither this nor these have asbestos in them. That was confirmed by Porton Down in 1988, however the Mk.1 might. But it's very rare that you've got a Mk.1. They look very different, very rotund, they're dummy rare. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. This is a struggle because it's a Boona S-mask, it's crushing. And I'll see you all on the flip side with even more content to do with lags, boring your tits off. Toodles. Also, a very good reason why you should always check the pockets of your bags. And of course, coats. This is a rare manual from Canada. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to record it, and you can pause it as you see fit to read it, because I'm not reading it out. Anyway, see you all soon.